Men of Reddit, when have you experienced sexism? My ex became aggressive and told me she was going to destroy everything in my apartment. Called the police. He told me to leave. I didn't really mind because it was semi-enduring sexism. But these older ladies called me brave for taking my then 10-month-old out to lunch all by myself. I was like, shut up baby, I know it. Worked in a female-dominated industry as an intern and was told on a regular basis that it was a female-dominated field and that she aimed to keep it that way, on top of constantly being told to stop ducking the women when I was not. I am not a man. I am however a parent to 3 teenage males. It started in high school grade 11 English. My son wrote several excellent essays for his teacher, who read them and gave him horrid marks because he didn't consider the feminist side. I read the outline and nowhere is he tasked with seeing it from the feminist side. I personally was deeply offended and now my kid sees feminism as a bad thing. I'm a single father. The number of times I've had to call my kids over so that uptight yuppie women will stop giving me the stink eye for being in a public park, have my parenting demeaned by comments about daddy's day with the kids, or my lucky wife having a day off, or any of the dozens of other ways society laughingly demeans our entire gender's role as parents. Yo, I'd say I've experienced sexism. Just because I'm good with kids doesn't mean I am a pedophile who wants to abuse them. Or another one. I was once at a place where it was strictly enforced that in the cafeteria the girls had to in front of the boys in line. Not at all that I am anti-chivalry, but you could be waiting for 20 minutes in the same spot just because girls came. And the girls usually felt awkward about it as well. What's wrong with equality? Whoever gets to line first gets served first, regardless of gender. The one that pissed me off the most was when my daughter was 14. She was having problems with her mother and it was decided that she would come live with me. I lived in another state. I got her moved in and went to enroll her in school. I had the unenrollment papers from her old school that were signed by her mother. I also had her birth certificate, social security card, and immunization records. The new school wouldn't allow me to enroll her until my ex-wife sent a notarized letter stating that I hadn't kidnapped my daughter and that she was allowed to live with me. I was ducking pissed at the double standard. They tried to tell me it was standard procedure for single parents. A single mother that overheard called bullet, saying they never required her to do that. Getting accused of being a sexual predator for holding my 4-year-old grandson's hand. I take dance at school because I'd like to be a performer when I grow up. It's pretty off-putting when the teachers tell you to just go to the weight room or just use you as a tool for lifts. Worked with a girl who used to purposely rub her body against me when we were in a narrow back corridor and again brushing my ass with her hand when reaching round me for stuff etc. Always was changing when I finished my shift in the back corridor, where the lockers were. No need to change there. No one else did. Told the assistant manager, more for advice than anything, and she just laughed her ass off about it. I took my dog to an agility class once. I was the only male there and younger, by 20+ years, than most of the women there. The woman running the class singled me out many times, saying that I was inherently worse at training my dog because males lack patience. She also criticized me throughout the class because my command voice sounded angry and I was only allowed to offer praise to my dog. She said men often don't get this concept. I decided my dog didn't like agility training. We just play frisbee instead. When I was 17, I worked at Taco Bell and a customer fell asleep at the drive-thru speaker. I was the only guy on a staff of teenage middle-aged women who all started arguing about who had to go check on him until the one I got along with the least chirped out, "Make that duckin' loser do it. He's a guy." I started arguing with her as I was elbow deep in dirty dishes that needed to get clean and she said, "You're a guy, asshole. We're women. He might have a gun. Like somehow having a wiener makes me bulletproof." My ex used to punch me a lot. Never in the face, but pretty much everywhere else. When I asked her to stop, she would hit me harder just because she knew I couldn't do anything about it. She'd even tease me about not fighting back. She would really lay into it too. When she did it in public, people, friends included, would just assume that I deserved it. I learned to accidentally move so that her knuckles would hit bone and she'd hurt her own hand while punching me. Yes, this was my first relationship and a long high school college disaster. I was too young and stupid to just leave. I know that I'm far from alone in this, but I've gotten it at public places. I'm an involved dad. When my oldest daughter was young, I would take her to ballet class. While we waited for her class, I'd grab a storybook. She'd sit in my lap, and I would read. I'm an expressive reader. Kids love it. And I would invariably have multiple little girls hanging around me, trying to get up into my lap so they could see, and I would just cringe from the looks around the room. Even when I was actively discouraging it, honey, I'm not your dad. I don't think your mom wants you to sit with me. Eventually, the moms got to know me and decided I was okay, but it was not comfortable for a while. At the park, I push my kids on the swings. I chase them around, etc. Other kids tend to want to join in. I have to be super careful, else I'll get everything from the stink eye to rude comments. And of course, the condescending comments are the best. No, lady, I'm not a weekend dad. I'm not giving their poor mother a break. I'm her here 24/7, 365. I spend time with my kids every day. I look forward to sharing moments. Bite me. I was 25. Flush with cash, going back to school, well-mannered, well-dressed, polite, no pets, no kids, no smoking, couldn't get an apartment for the life of me. It amazes me that you're allowed to say female occupants only. If you said men only, you'd end up as the subject of a segment on Samantha Bee. Stalked and groped, assaulted for several months in high school by a woman. Countless witnesses who said or did nothing. An ex-girlfriend was physically abusive. Her family encouraged her. Sexist double standards cut both ways. Anyone can be hurt by anyone regardless of sex. Whether you're a man or a woman, seek help if someone is hurting you. When I was at a bar, this girl wanted to get my attention, so she tripped me while I was walking. On purpose. I fell down and spilled my beer. To make it up to me, she bought me another drink. She apologized for tripping me, but said she didn't know how else to get my attention. If I would have done that to a girl, I'd be at the minimum kicked out of the bar. More likely I'd have assault charges or get the it kicked out of me outside. I had a random day off work and decided to check out a museum in my city. That day just happened to be the same day a grade school class field trip. I was alone minding my own business when I heard one of the teachers tell another to keep an eye on the guy by himself. Eventually another teacher told me I needed to leave this museum that was very much open to the public because there were kids around and the teachers didn't feel comfortable. I work in an office with all women. The only men on my floor work in an entirely different department. I get constant negative comments about what I eat and my weight. I am the most in shape person in the office. I usually eat a large bowl of vegetables for lunch and a protein shake mid-afternoon. I work out an hour per day. God forbid I get along with any female I work with. After 2 accusations of sleeping with co-workers, I've just stopped trying to be friendly with anyone. Unrelated to work, but I do a large part of taking care of my kids. Many comments basically implying that I need a woman to properly care for my kids. I get it's stereotype that gives people something to say, but damn does it get old. Edit. I hear women complain of this, but I get told to smile at least once per week. Especially from an admin lady that never does anything. It really grinds my gears. About 10 years ago, I was working as a sales manager for a large research firm. My division was sold to another company and a female VP from that company was put in charge of my division. My team was made up of 5 men and 2 women. Of the 5 men, 3 of them were top performing salespeople. They were animals and crushed their numbers. Slowly over time, the VP found reasons to harass and eventually fire all 3 and transfer their books of business to females working on another team in her office. She eventually got rid of one more guy on my team, and at that point I called her out on it. Of course, I was laid off a few months later. There was absolutely zero reason those guys should have lost their jobs. They weren't just hitting quota, they were coming in at 130-150% of goal every year. It became quite obvious to everyone in the company that she just favored females in sales. About a year after all that happened, a bunch of HR complaints finally caught up with her and she ended up fired. Story time. I went on a date with a woman. 1 date. I had a rough day at work. Had a dinner to go to after work. By the time I got home I was exhausted. I went to sleep. I woke up to about 30 messages from this woman. I give up. You asshole. Duck you for ignoring me. I'm so hurt. etc. I was sleeping. Needless to say, the next day I texted her to say I wasn't interested in a second date. She lost it. Started sending me pics of guys and their cocks with he's been begging to duck me. I'm gonna duck him. Multiple insane messages with insults etc. She threatened to send some rather risky pics of me to my workplace, which she didn't know what it was, so I wasn't concerned. Few days later a knock at my door. 2 police officers. Investigating her claims I had been threatening her and threatened to share her pics. Neither of which I did. I was treated as a complete dirtbag by the police. Not only did they not review her text history before coming to harass me, they were even hesitant the texts I was showing them were real, and it was a real eye-opener. A woman can accuse a man of anything and the burden of proof isn't even on them. It's on the man. And for what it's worth, I still have the text history saved if people want proof. Being called a pervert for saying that I would look forward to having a daughter. I retired and got a pension from my state at 65 years old. Women in my country retire at 60. When my mother was chosen to be my primary guardian in court despite her rampant, diagnosed, obvious mental conditions. My father is a successful professional in a new stable family by the time all was said and done. When I was in high school, early childhood education and development for an elective. I was in the class a couple of years and loved working with the kids. I applied at a 24/7 daycare and was laughed out. The ladies working refused to take my application and told me that I wouldn't be hired as I'm a male. Kind of sucks. But I'm a dad now, so duck them. I'm a 5'6" 5'7" who is admittedly pretty strong. An old girlfriend was around 5 feet and a semi-professional ice skater. I'm not sure how she trained in ice skating, but that made that girl was strong as an ox, about as strong as me. Quite a few times she would get drunk and physically come at me. I never punched her back, but once, while drunk too, I kicked her in the leg to get her away from me as she was charging for the umpteenth time. She had a bruise for a couple weeks, and to this day, all my friends and all her friends think I'm an abusive piece of it and she is an angel. Also, when a girl gets sexually assaulted in a dangerous area, everyone attacks people who question why she was there. When I get jumped by a bunch of dudes, it's well, what did you expect walking through Dorchester at night? In English Comp freshman year of college, my professor was a feminist, not the equality equals equality kind. One of the essays we had to write was about porn. The females in the class were told to write about how it can help or hurt an actress's career, and the males were told to write about how it pollutes and destroys the male mind. When a few of the males reported her for it, we were told to just do it. She knows better. So some of us didn't do the essay at all. About 4 out of 15 total. She threatened to force drop us from the course for not respecting women. When we got the dean involved, she went on the defensive and cried about how bad we were in class. Long story short, when some of the males' parents got involved, she and the school were almost sued. She got fired and we had her replacements for the rest of the semester. Before she got fired, she dropped all of the males' grades by 2 letters. All the girls ended up with A's or B's. All the guys had B's, C's, and D's. Yes, my wife and I both work, so when it's needed we both do shopping. I took my 14-year-old daughter shopping for clothes. I was sitting outside the dressing room for girls and was given the repeated stink eye by women. I heard a few passerby refer to me as a pervert. I got fed up one day by another female customer who was being overt about it. She was making remarks how it's disgusting and was trying to not so quietly tell the store attendant, who I've worked with before, that they need to call the police because clearly I'm a pedophile. She looked embarrassed for me. I sat there, folded my arms and told her I'm a parent, taking care of my daughter. If you've got a problem with this, it's because you're a narrow-minded sexist pig. My daughter came out on the middle of it and said my dad is awesome. Duck you. And flipped her off. The lady got mad, threw her clothes on the floor and stomped away. The employee was overheard saying, "Don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out. It splatters." Edit. Wow. Lot of people think I'm making it up. I assure you, I'm not. My wife is set to be the breadwinner of our family due to her far greater earning potential, and I'll likely spend more time taking care of our future family. This plan of ours has created friction with our older relatives, as I should be able to provide for my wife. I'm a male teacher in a large school. Everyone assumes I'm a coach, even people I've repeatedly corrected. After 3 years I've just stopped correcting people. Seriously considering buying a whistle and ditching my dress clothes for comfy shorts and t-shirt. It's not really negative, it just is. Man, being destroyed when I got cheated on ducking sucks. My ex at time tried to resolve it, but according to her I was being weak and paranoid. Should act like a man. Also same ex. Was watching Midnight in Paris with her. When they showed Hemingway I ducking giggled like a girl because I love that dude. She told me I should man up. I worked for a female boss once who would promote any woman she could find instead of me. I got more done faster than the other employees, but she'd always promote a woman instead even if the woman in question had less seniority or qualifications. One woman she promoted screwed things up constantly. The other two quit within a year. I ended up finding a better job elsewhere. That's the only example I have. Okay, I'm not a man, but I have to give women compliments for my husband. If he says anything nice to a woman they usually assume he is trying to hit on them. Someone could have cool shoes, have particularly nice hair, or something along those lines, but he's too afraid to say anything because he doesn't want to scare a girl or make her angry. So, I go and tell women for him since generally I agree. I can go up to a girl, tell her she has sweet tits and get giggles and hugs into said tits. I was told a few times at work to man up when I had to take a sick day to go to the doctor. We were allowed 10 sick days per year, and I rarely took more than 1 or 2 per year, but I still got yelled at for taking them. The women in the office regularly took sick days for menstrual issues and because their kids were sick, and nobody gave them it about it. I was also passed over for a promotion shortly after overhearing a manager tell another manager I'm really looking to hire a woman that looks good to corporate. Tried to explain to a girl who was essentially throwing herself at me in public that I wasn't interested in hooking up in public. I have a career where my public image is important. She called me a pussy, told me to man up, and then proceeded to tell some guys I was with that I was turning down 6 and they should berate me for it. They did. I tried explaining that I just wasn't interested, and that this conversation was making me even less interested and kind of annoyed. But they did not understand why a single straight male would turn down unsolicited sex. If I did that to a girl, I would be escorted off the premises. As a naturally tall and skinny man, I get you're a man. Where are your muscles? Comments all the time. When girls are dismissive and rude when you talk to them cause they think you only want one thing, but in actuality, you're gay and just wanna socialize. I was a hairstylist for some time. The amount of times that women said they didn't want me to perform a service for them was kind of surprising. The way people treated me and my expertise was not the same way they treated the women. Also, everyone assumed me gay. Got my sexuality questioned when a drunk girl I hardly know tried to get me hard by rubbing up on me and failed. Cause every guy gets a hard on at the drop of a hat, right? Was being beaten by an ex with the metal bits of an IKEA lamp. So I pin her down by the arms legs. Her friend walks in, assumes I'm beating her, calls the cops. Thankfully my injuries were noticed by the cops. Been slapped, smacked, punched by every GF I've had because you're a guy. Suck it up. Every girl I've ever tried to talk to date who assumes I'm only talking to her because she has a V. I was attending a large project status meeting of about 50 people. I would say it was roughly evenly mixed between genders. The topic was basically how our project was going, positives and negatives, etc. The manager was talking about something in particular. Don't remember what, but then this jerk blurts out that's because men are bad at multitasking. Raised eyebrows abound. No, it's true. Women are superior at multitasking. Because, proceeds on soapbox rant. I was just like, even if you have evidence of that, this isn't the time or place. This isn't even really a discussion. It's the manager giving us general project status. So ducking rude. capital I, and many other men and women really hated that woman. The double standard that comes with gender-typed tasks. I do laundry, cook, and clean because I'm not rich. If I'm able to do it, I'll do it, but it isn't reciprocated. Not once has any, so I've been with offered to do anything that is typically male typed. Mowing, shoveling, etc. If it's lifting something super heavy, yeah, I'm better equipped to handle that, so no problem. But I'm sorry ladies, you are completely capable of doing the other stuff, and it sucks you won't take initiative in that regard. Any type of dirty or mildly physical task is considered a man job, and so far I have never experienced someone try to defy that norm. I still have to ask my so to take out the trash, and I shouldn't have to. It's very frustrating. Preface: I'm a white 26-year-old male. I'm 6 feet 2 and 230 pounds. I don't look friendly, but I generally am, especially while traveling. I got on a Southwest plane. Second row back was an aisle seat with 2 unaccompanied minors. Duck it. I can get through a 3-hour plane ride with 2 children with my headphones and Game Boy. I'm good. I got dirty looks from everyone around me until about 10 minutes into the plane ride, where I am talking to the kids about the NBA and my time in the army. After we landed, a bunch of people said that for an unmarried white guy I handle kids really well. Thanks for the backhanded compliment, but one day I will be an excellent father to children. Boys, girls, or otherwise. Kids are awesome. You know who sucks? Adults on a Southwest flight that think their bags get 1 seat. Entitled prick business assholes that think their phone call is more important than basic decency. I've never had a child trip me with their luggage so they could get on the 4-hour plane ride 10 seconds faster. I've never had a child shove their elbow in my side while sleeping. I wore my kilt to work one day. Women were complimenting my legs and inquiring about my choice in underwear. Basically any comment that would get a man written up or fired if he made it toward a woman was said to me.